Hello everyone, this is Gideon Apmos, your host on Trending Studios, your first-hand information. Today we are here on an academic interview. So we have somebody that is well vested in research and is going to educate us on how to make a publication. I believe some of us studying in our home countries, abroad, we are preparing to, let's say, make a publication. We don't know, some of us doesn't even know the sites and, let's say, various things to consider when thinking around this. So we have somebody to educate us on that. Hello. So should I call you Mr.? Are you married? What's up with you?
No, I'm not married.
So
I'm Steven.
You are Steven.
Yes.
So I think you have the audience. You can introduce yourself so that everybody will have you in mind.
Okay, thank you so much for this opportunity for me to share my little idea I have about research in total, how you could start for drafting your question to publishing or disseminating the information that you found out from the research that you're conducting. So basically that is what we talk about. I am Steven. I am first year's master's student in population and development in Higher School of Economics in Moscow. I've had my first master's in geographic information systems in Ghana. So this is my second master's I am currently doing. So, and I've done quite a number of publications, and I am research enthused person.
So viewers, you can see we did not lie. He's well vested in research. So Mr. Steven, can you tell us what motivated you in pursuing, let's say, research, academic writing, everything? So what motivated you?
Yeah, the growth of any economic around the world is built on research and findings. So what researchers find out or found out is what society develop policies and programs on to help society grow. So research is very important for any society. That is why I felt it's important that everybody, one way or the other, needs to put some questions together and try to find answers to those questions. So that is the basic motivation for me. And I am an academically enthused person, want to be an academician. So that is one of the responsibilities you want to do as part of your work as a lecturer or whoever you are in terms of research field. You can't take that out. So that is the basic motivation.
Oh, that's nice. So we are going to run through various series of questions. So let's start from, let's say, selection. How do I, let's say, select a topic for an academic, let's say, paper?
That is a very important question that you've asked, and is the basis for all the research that you want to do from the beginning to the end. What is troubling you, what you want to really solve, is what is the basis for your research. For instance, you find yourself in a society where maybe there is teenage pregnancy, so you want to find out why that is the case, right? So there are so many scenarios that you can use to get research questions and want to find out why. The current situation you find yourself could motivate you.
Yes.
Maybe some statistics that maybe certain institutions have published could also be a means where you can draft your question.
Yeah.
Fine. If that wouldn't work for you, you are in a certain field. For instance, I've already had masters in geographic information system. I'm currently doing something in population and development. So these two fields have certain themes that we always talk about. So can you blend those two themes and try to see what problem you can use your skills to solve?
Okay.
So through these two processes, you'll be able to get a very good research problem that you want to research on probably and publish your paper, publish the policies that, or the recommendations that you want to, get from it. The other one that I want to talk about is trending issues in the world.
Okay.
So anything trending, for instance, in issues of climate change, that is my interest, my research field. Climate change, energy issues, environmental sanitation, environmental issues, they are trending issues. So you want to tune your attention to that. AI is, one of the things now in the world.
Yeah.
So you want to also research and see what AI can do to industries, what AI can do to reproduction, what can AI do to even food scarcity in the world. You are just going to ask yourself certain questions. You think, can you really find answers for them? So through research, you'll be able to find answers for these questions. So you ask yourself so many questions. Anything that troubles your mind, it's a good question that you want to find answers for. And basically, that is research.
So must there always be a cause, or let's say something happening before one begins to think about having, let's say, a mindset to research about it? Or
not necessarily. Maybe you want to even solve a problem. You want to develop certain part of a society. You want to find out how you want to do it. So it might not necessarily be a problem, but you want to get a solution or get an idea, a new idea on how to do something better. Okay. So it is not always the case that you need to have a problem and you want to find out why that is the problem or why this is happening. It's always not the problem. The case, but you want to develop certain skills, certain idea, and see how, for instance, education systems in Ghana, you want to find out why Chinese education system is practiced in certain way. How do you want to blend that with the traditional education system to better your own, for instance, in Ghana? So in that sense, your research is tuned to Chinese and traditional education system in Ghana. So at the end of the day, you are going to have a mixed education system that is well situated to the tradition and understanding of your people. So it is not always the case that you need to have a problem, but maybe idea that you want to develop and better shape certain aspects of your economy. You can research and see how best you could do that.
Well, so viewers, I wanted to ask about the tips in, let's say, considering a topic for your research, but I believe he has just entered on them. So we move straight to, let's say, the processes. So what steps do you think researchers should consider or should take before making a report, an academic report? What steps? Run us through the steps.
Okay, so research is scientific.
I believe you are the one to educate us on it.
Research is scientific. Okay. So science is process, right? So you need to get your problem. There are methodologies that you have to follow. You need to state certain reasons why you have to do that research. Why is it important for society? You need to define your idea why it is important for somebody to even read your paper when you publish it. So it's scientific because it's going to problems, our processes. Okay, so basically for me to respond quickly to the question, the steps, you have your problem. So you basically want to see that problem that you're talking about, does it exist somewhere? Is it only the case that problem
So can we do this? Can you just quickly run us through a topic and then try to, let's say, tell us the steps?
Okay, so when you are publishing a paper, every journal has their own ways that they want you to include certain items. For instance, some journals want you to include your literature review in the introduction and the background. Okay, some want you to separate the literature review out from the introduction. Okay. So for instance, the papers that I've published so far, my literature review is part of the introduction. Okay. So you have the introduction, you have the methodology, right? The methodology talk about the study area, or we call it study area description. The study area, you describe the study area, where it is located, maybe certain statistics about the place. Then you move on quickly to point 3. The point 3 is the data. You are presenting the data, your findings. Then you do discussion. And lastly, you conclude and recommend. That is how it is done in maybe most of the scientific papers that are published. Some of them, don't really follow these traditions. Okay, it depends. Maybe certain faculties have their own websites that you have to publish your paper. Some of them wouldn't allow you to go through these processes. Maybe just the introduction about the abstract, right? Just the abstract, and they want to see you producing the results or the methodology and the results. They don't even want you to describe the areas and all those things. They are not interested. So it depends on the journal that you are even working with. But all the journals that I've worked with so far, I've published my paper, for instance, environmental change and environmental and assessment. These two journals that I've worked with so far, the method is the same thing. You need to get those things done. Your method, your introduction method, then you describe the data set or the methodology itself that you use, and then you present the results to them. You discuss it.
You keep making references to, let's say, some journal. I want to know, is writing an article different from, let's say, making an academic publication? And is it also different from, let's say, journal? Like, how is it?
Okay, so journal is, should I say, a folder. Okay. If I do it practical, right? A folder that you put a file in. So if you take a journal, it's like a book, and you have a lot of publications, a lot of people from that field, their work relating to that field in it. So if I'm talking about environmental assessment or environmental change, people who have done work relating to environmental change, they publish paper in those books, okay, or those journals, those containers that people can have access to. So when you go to that, for instance, that journal, you have a lot of articles. If you're interested in climate change, you go there. If you're interested in, say, social issues, there are certain journals to focus on publishing on social issues. So you go there, you look for the articles that you are interested in and you read. So basically that is it.
Okay, so how is it different from an article? And how is it also different from, let's say, a normal report, maybe a research, a scientific report?
Yes, so article is part of the journal.
Okay.
Oh. So my work is an article.
All right.
Those that I publish are articles that are part of the journal. Okay. So the journal is very big, very big document that contains a lot of publication from different professors or scholars in that field. Yeah. So scientific writing too could be classified, because I've read so many papers online that the person has published the whole work. Every details of the work, for instance, somebody's PhD work. Okay. The person published the whole work, including anything that you want to see in the work. Any minor things, but because if you are going to do publication, some journals will ask you to do just like 5 pages, 7 pages. Yes. But people have published over 200 pages of their work, over 300 pages of their work. So those one, I can tell, we say they are academic writing or academic papers, right? Because the person has published the whole work of whatever he studied. Okay. Do you get it? Yeah.
Right, I believe we are being educated here. You are watching us on Trending Studios, your first-hand information. Subscribe to this YouTube channel as we come your way every week with different things for you. Today we are having our brother, Mr. Stephen Sodoke here, and he's educating us on making a publication. So on the same processes, how do we, let's say, consider, let's say, oh, no, let me first ask you this. How do you evaluate sources for your publication? How do you evaluate sources?
Yeah, so for me, it is difficult to write a paper, right? It's difficult because you need to read a lot of papers relating to the field or what you want to work on. So if you want to make reference to any article or anything in your work, it has to be the best one. Right. Because there are certain things that are published by certain institutions that, they are not the best. Okay. So for me, this is what I do. Whenever I want to reference or source any information from anywhere, I look for those that are highly cited or viewed by people, meaning that article is good enough for me to read. That is one. Okay. Now, sources, where do you get this information from? Okay, basically, we can talk. I'm registered to be part of ResearchGate. I registered as a Google Scholar, which is popular for so many academic research. Now, some of these journals that I mentioned again can be a source of information for the paper you are going to read. So if you are doing something on, say, sanitation, you can just go to normal search. Okay, you look for journals that in that field. Then you go to the journal's website and you see a lot of papers that are open for you.
So with this, I don't want to cut you short. What do you recommend? Is it that if you are doing a research, you should go out, sort for your information, come sit down and analyze, or a friend of mine called it the lazy time. You search for academic writings, try to have a gap, and then through the writing and through other papers, you sit in your room and you do it. Which one would you recommend?
No, I don't get it. Okay, so for instance, there are two major ways to do a work or collect the data. You can use secondary source or primary. The secondary is you are using an existing information to publish your work. And there is nothing wrong with it.
There is nothing wrong with it.
Yes.
So
there is nothing wrong with that process too.
But in terms of, let's say, finding an accurate solution to a problem, do you think there is a kind of dent on that, those people using secondary data? Because probably the person that made that publication was years ago. Now situation might have changed. So you going out there fetching your information, you are bringing something new on the table.
Yeah, so that is why you have to validate the data you are using for your analysis.
Okay.
So validation is very important.
And how do you validate?
Yeah, so validation is, okay, I am conducting a paper in 2024, and the data that was collected was about 2010. So if I publish a paper using 2010 information, I wouldn't get the kind of results I want. I would be having wrong information.
Yeah.
So validation is go back to the source of that information. Maybe website you downloaded it, check and see if you get a new one.
Right.
If you not get, could you collect your own data, primary data, and just validate, to do interpolation of the data. Okay. Through the primary data, you can interpolate to get a new data set that we will use for analysis, instead of relying on the old data set that will probably not give you the best results, because you will have a wrong information. If you're doing something on finance, if you're doing something on GDP issues, and you're using 2010 information to project GDP or determine certain economic growth, you'll be mistaken. You need to use current information. Past informations are important. Maybe probably you want to do trend analysis, but you can't use that to do anything about the current situation if that data is not about what is happening now. You get it? So you can go back to the source of the information and check if you have a new data set. If you don't have, do you have the ability yourself to collect a primary data to support your secondary data to have a good data set for your analysis?
So on this same issue, you've been into academic, let's say, discussion a lot, and I believe as a publicist, you might as well come into people that do same with you. Let's say students having, let's say, pursuing their masters, their PhD, what would you recommend? That they use secondary sources, or they try to bring out a questionnaire and get information?
It depends on your field. For instance, I mentioned geographic information system.
Yes.
My paper that is under review now, it's about estimates annual average soil loss of Upper East region. Okay, so I couldn't use primary data.
Okay.
I use secondary data, and all my secondary data are from valid websites. I use satellite information, raster data set, GIS, pure engineering work. You see, so it depends on the field that you find yourself. There are certain websites, when you go to FAO, you go to World Bank data, you go to Rosto, you go to so many United States their website. You have so many websites that will give you good information.
Okay.
So, for instance, if I'm doing something on, say, I remember I was part of a research team to assess the well-being of caretakers. Okay, the well-being of caretakers. You see that kind of research?
Yeah.
We need to get primary information. Okay, caretakers, those who take care of old people.
Okay.
So these people, we have to go to them and get information from them. We can't use somebody else's data because it is not concerned about what we want to do. Maybe your data set is about in different situations, but the situation where you want to do the study determines the kind of data set you use. So if your study demands that you use primary, you should use primary. And if the secondary is there and available, is good for you to use, there is nothing wrong with it.
Okay.
There's not. So it depends. So all the master students and PhD students, it depends on the kind of study you are doing. For instance, in my next PhD, or probably what I'm trying to do, it's on climate resilience and vulnerability analysis.
So let's dive into this, your interest.
Yes.
Climate resilience.
Yes.
Resilience as in, because as you can see, sometimes our climate, let's say we have the resilience already, or you think there is.
The climate resilience is all about sensitivity, using different term again. It depends on your ability to withstand, okay, that. And then, so my research topic that I've submitted to some professors so far, and some of them have showed interest, is climate resilience and adaptation.
Okay.
So we're looking at how they withstand. When the climate change hits them, the situation hits them, do they have the ability to withstand it?
Okay.
If they have the ability to withstand it, they have a method to adapt to it. So these two things will lead to their vulnerability, will lead to their status of vulnerability. So if you have a very good system that you withstand it, and then you are having the method to adapt, then you are not vulnerable.
Okay.
But if these two things are not available, then you are vulnerable. Okay, so this information, I could use probably secondary data sets. Maybe I want to do geographic information analysis with this. This one can use satellite information to just do some prediction and then draw some buffer and do some overlay and see the institution or the structures or the population size that can fall within certain zones. And I'll declare those zones to be vulnerable areas depending on the results that I have. Fine. But there is a secondary aspect of this. Socioeconomic activities could influence. So these are social information. You cannot directly infuse them into your geographic information. So you need to go back. You can't even get it anywhere. So you need to go back to your people and ask them about these questions. So in a way, I'm having two research methods.
Yeah.
Mixed method approach. So I'm having two research methods to get this information. So your research method will determine the data sets you have to use.
So viewers, you can all see that we are not just talking. He's talking from experience, talking from, let's see, various points. We are blessed. This is Trending Studios. Please subscribe. We need you. We need the audience. Subscribe. Okay, so let's move out from, let's see, the research processes, because you've educated. Now let's come back to writing and, let's say, drafting. What strategies do you use to, let's say, outline and structure your academic reports? Maybe the strategies you can use to, let's say, outline certain backgrounds you want to write on, or let's say certain structures in your academic reports.
Yeah, this also depends on, first of all, your supervisor, because some supervisors have their own structure.
Yeah.
So if maybe I have certain mentality that I came with, if I come and then my supervisor is telling me that I have to switch to this method, I have to. So it depends on the methods. I mean, the desire or what the supervisor have been using for a long time that works for him. Okay. So this, it is not, and there is no serious strict rule concerning this method.
Okay.
There is no strict rule concerning this method. It depends on the supervisor, whoever supervises the work. Or if you're writing for publication's sake, it depends on the journal, as I mentioned in my previous submissions. So if the journal wants certain structure, you need to follow that structure and follow. It's simple. It's nothing so difficult that you not do. Some people, some supervisors want to do your whole work in 4 chapters. Some want 5. Some want even 7. Yeah. So for instance, your recommendation should be different. Your conclusion should be different. Your summary should be different. In our case, sometimes we merge these 2-3 chapters together. Some also want you to separate the literature review from the introduction. Some want the literature review should be part of the introduction or the background information concerning whatever you want to study. So it depends on the supervisor that you have.
Okay, so I might as well want to tell you that today our brother Joseph is at the video side doing all these things for us. So well appreciated discussing for him. I'm trying to bring his mind on board, but it looks like okay, so let me ask you, what motivates you during the writing and publication processes? Because you can all see that it's not easy. Sometimes even as if you are trying to edit a video, if you are not careful, the information is very good, but you might even give up.
Yeah.
So, and now you are sitting down, typing, writing something. Is it not boring? What
Yeah, so you can't. The Bible says that we are the light of the world.
Okay.
And then you can't, put on a light and put it under a shield, right?
Okay.
You need to let the world see what is in you. So if I found out any information and then I can never share with people, then my work is in waste. So that one alone is motivating enough for me to put my work into a document that people can read.
Yeah.
Basically, that is what motivates me. I mean, if I found out any good information and I think I can never share with people, I know. Now, just a little gist about my previous paper, the one that is under review now on environmental change. People use Russell method. Russell method was developed by some scholars around 1981 or 91, a very long time, that has been used in the field of agriculture and then environmental sustainability to check erosion or soil loss. Now, I use the same method, but what was unique about my work is what I added up about doing sensitivity analysis to understand all the 5 parameters I am analyzing to see their contribution to total soil loss. Which of them is the main cause of soil loss? So we have about 5 different parameters. We have the rainfall erosivity, the soil erodibility factor. We have LS factor, which is slope length and steepness factor. We have the control, and we have carbon management factor. So all these 5 factors contribute to soil loss. So my research, the other aspect of it was to understand which of these factors contribute to this soil loss most, so that policies will not be targeted on reducing the whole soil because we don't have enough resource.
Yes.
We need to target a certain aspect.
of it.
So when we develop and we have enough, probably we could go ahead to do one. So that is what my research did, to be able to ensure that our resources are well managed. The little money that we have, we could control it, targeting to certain aspects of soil loss control. You see, so if I find out this nice information, why should I keep it? I need to. It's motivating enough for me to share, for people to read and see how, and probably share the same methodology I used with people who want to understand how it is done. Yeah.
Well, so now let's come to, let's say, revision and editing. You sat down, brought all findings together. How do you, as a person and as a researcher, how do you edit and, let's say, proofread these works?
Yes.
And in terms of, we have these plagiarism laws. How do you meet them?
Yeah. It's difficult for you to really see flaws in your own work. Okay, so like you've read the work several times, and before you read the next line, you've already read it with your eyes. Your mind is telling you that you've read it, you jumped. So there might be certain mistakes in those sentences that you're constructing. So it is always good to share your work with your colleagues in that field.
It actually happens to me when I'm editing videos. Sometimes after editing, I don't watch. Even after posting, I find it difficult watching my own self. Yes, but sometimes as a YouTuber, you have to go in and then, but sometimes I find it very difficult. Yes.
So basically that is it. You need to share with people. And these people, we call something collaboration.
Okay.
So this paper I'm publishing, I'm not the only publisher on the paper, even though I'm the originator of the idea. So you see Stephen et al. Or Sodoke et al. Right, Stephen and others. The others are the ones who are contributing to the success of this work.
Okay.
So you give it to them, they should read through. Make the necessary corrections. Certain aspects that have to be redrafted, they do it. So that you have a good paper at the end to be published. Because it's not easy for you to finish the whole work and yesterday I was doing some work with Joe again, and we started a new research topic that we are working on. We are trying to see which environmental factor is causing, reducing or leading to cocoa production in Ghana, leading to the low level of cocoa production in Ghana, aside the anthropogenic factors that we talk about galamsey. Aside galamsey, what can the government target? What can the government talk about? Why is cocoa production reducing for the previous years? That is what we saw yesterday. We started working on the data sets, downloading our rainfall data, temperature data, soil data. We started working on that since yesterday. You see, so when I'm done with this paper, those who have interest in this field, I have to share this paper with them for them to read through and see the mistakes that can be. Maybe I use some method, we could use different method to get a better result. So for instance, there's this sensitivity analysis I'm talking about. This is the second method I used recently when I came here. I have to try different methods to see which one best give me the best result. You see, so it's always good to share information with colleagues and for them to correct you, because you don't know it all. You don't know it all.
So in terms of this grammatical change, plagiarism, others will as well also come in.
Yes, people have the ability to, they are good at English, and then so they will help you read through and restructure how the sentence should be. Now there are so many tools that can help you. It is not a sin for you to use these tools. I want to talk about it categorically. Some people think using AI to write your paper is wrong. There is nothing wrong with it, because I always say that if I give you my field of work, and if you're not a professional in that field, there is nothing you can do about it.
Yes.
So if an AI writes something for me, I'm not able to interpret it. That is where the problem is. But if I have the ability to understand what it's written for me, and I can make use of it to build my society, there is nothing wrong with it. So if you think you don't have the ability to draft the information yourself and write it the way you want to write it, find an assistant. We are the tools that are there to help us build. We have Grammarly that can help best check your grammar and other things. You have the money to get the premium, do it. I don't have a problem using those tools, but previous papers that I've written so far, it's my own strength that I use. But then maybe going forward, we need to use them. It boosts your productivity. It makes you work instead of longer hours, you work for shorter hours, because if you find the necessary information and you give it to the system, they give you the information you need. You have to just go back and verify with literature and see if it fits within the literature you have. If it does, you are good to go. You don't have a problem. There is nothing wrong.
So guys, the thing is, find assistant, but know how to interpret results, not copy and paste.
Exactly.
Know how to interpret them when you are doing or dealing with all these apps. So let's go to publication. What goes into publication? Because is it that when you are done, the publicists are there to help? How goes into it?
Okay, so some publications are free, some are not free.
Can you share with us some?
So far, for instance, the journal I mentioned, the environmental assessment and evaluation is free. Environmental change is also free.
Okay.
There are other ones like Geoforum is also free. We have a lot that are free.
But are they concentrated? Let's say, are they concentrating on certain aspect of research?
Yeah, so those are the ones I mentioned from my field.
Oh, okay.
So
do you have any generally, let's say, inclined?
I don't really know for facts. I can't tell for facts that there is that one that contains almost every field. I'm not sure about that, but journals, I guess, they are created for certain field. So you go to that field and you see information concerning that field in that journal. So publication, it's difficult. So the reason why I have to use different method for my analysis is because my paper was rejected.
Wow.
Yeah.
Share more information.
Yes. I submitted the paper around October last year, 2023. So the reviewer sent me information about me, giving him more detailed explanation about my sensitivity analysis, because initially I used just correlation metrics to just do my analysis, to just conclude on the kind of factor leading to the more effect of erosion. I sat down myself, I said, no, this is correlation doesn't mean causation. So if you have a very close relationship with somebody, doesn't mean there is something really happening between you guys, right? So it's just simple like that. I took it, then I said, okay, could I use different method? So, and I used different method, and I guess this method, this time around, it will be accepted and publicly will publish the paper. So publication is a lot of things. You need to submit your work. It goes through a number of reviews. You'll be bounced at several times. Luckily for me, my first paper, it went through so smoothly. I didn't have any issue. It went smoothly. It's a good paper. I was looking at motivation to sort solid waste in a market. So, and it's a very important field that a lot of researchers haven't really dealt with in Ghana. So I was looking at that, looking at market women being motivated, because in Ghana by that time about 56% of our waste are produced in markets. So I was like, okay, so how can we contribute to reduce this? So if you can do recycling, and recycling process could be fast-tracked if they have the poop that's sorted. So can we do something? How can people be motivated to do it? So that was the whole understanding of my paper. So so it depends. You will be bounced. You should be ready for it. You'll be bounced, but don't give up. Just try to work on what they ask you to work on. Maybe you've read a certain portion, you think you are good, but then the problem with them is that you still have a problem with that thing. Just change it. Finally, on this, if you think that they are filled, whatever you're talking about wouldn't work for you, please withdraw your paper and find another journal.
Okay.
Yeah, withdraw the paper. If you think what you are publishing it's good enough, there will be journals that will accept it. Please just withdraw and give it to different journal who will accept your work.
So you can help contact our video guy for us so that we check. So viewers, we are having a discussion on trending studios, and the discussion is more getting heated. I know you can't wait for us to continue. Yes. So please find time to also subscribe to this channel. We are quite new. Yes, our first handle was taken out from us, so we are quite new here. Please subscribe to us and then help us share our videos and our motivations too. God bless you for doing that. So now let's go back to let's see the issue of if you think the publication you are trying, let's say the how should I even
your paper
yes,
you think it's good enough, but for instance the reviewer told me that the images that I used should be 300 dpi.
Okay.
And my images that I exported were 350 dpi already. So they are higher than your requirements you're telling me. So I don't really know why So at a point, we withdrew the paper. We withdrew the paper from them before they even sent us information about rejecting it. Ourselves, we wrote to them that we don't want to continue publishing with them because the information they are asking us to give, we gave them every information. But we don't really know why they are not also coming by with more information concerning our paper, whether we are progressing with publishing or not. So we just wrote to them that.
So how many days, months does it take for these people to get back to you?
Oh, it can even take. Oh, it depends. For a paper to be published, can even take more than a year.
Okay, but you getting a feedback from them?
For feedback, it depends on the institution. It's just like normal human relation.
Okay.
Maybe they have a lot of things on their desk, so they don't really have time to respond to you. But then maybe about a month, you should be expecting information.
So me, let's say, going as a new person that also wants to, let's say, go in with the academic, publication. I don't have any relationship with them as you are talking about. It depends on the relation. Then it means that it's going to take months.
No, that is not the case. The relationship doesn't really mean maybe they know you one-on-one or whatever. So far as there are institutions that are working, okay, and people read their papers, people are buying their papers and other things. So it's like their work. So if somebody is bringing something to you that will make you money, why wouldn't you accept it? Okay, so it's like normal human relation. Then you don't have to establish any kind of contact with them before you go and.
But yes, talking about money, they making money. You, the person that did the research, do you also earn something from it?
It depends. It depends. That is what I mentioned, that some papers you have to pay before you publish. Okay. So if I pay to publish my paper, anybody who wants to read my paper needs to pay to read it. So you just maybe they will publish just the abstract. So the abstract alone is catching enough, and you want to know more about this paper, then you have to buy the paper. That is why I can get money from the paper. Okay. But most of my papers are published on open source. Okay. I just want people to read and see the knowledge that I can know, and the ability that I have to publish a paper.
Oh well, that's nice. So now let's go back to let's say dissemination on, let's say, impact. Once, let's say, your report is being published, how do you take feedbacks from people?
Okay, so dissemination, for instance, I'll go back to my recent paper again. Okay. Capenion conference in Moscow here, Moscow State University in November. I was there. I'm going to present in that conference. Okay. That is one way to share your idea and your policies relating to climate change and environmental sustainability and food security issues. That is one way. Now, the feedback that you get from there is about people commenting about the kind of work you've done. Maybe your policies could include certain aspects. That could even bring another research into intuition for you to consider through those processes, through those fields. The other aspect of the thing is that, you see, where we find ourselves, especially the country that we find ourselves, it's quite difficult for people to really make use of the research that we make. Okay, basically we do research for academic purpose to just get your mark and go. But elsewhere, research it's the brain of the economy, right? So they prioritize research a lot. Unfortunately, we don't have those forums that students have the ability to share their ideas. If not, I think most African countries would have developed.
Okay.
Because they are doing solid works, they are doing good works that when they are adopted, for instance, my work, you know, the northeastern part of Ghana is faced with soil erosion issues. Yeah. And that portion of the country contributes about 26.1% of food baskets to the country. So if that aspect is affected by soil loss and somebody has done a research work, okay, that can help determine the exact factor that is leading to we having soil loss in that region, then why don't you implement these policies, okay, to ensure that we reduce the soil loss and then have more food available for the country? Do you get it?
Yes, I get it.
Likewise, people have developed good project work. People have done good research works in different fields, but the lack of the platform to share these ideas is the problem. So what some of the researchers tends to do is to share their ideas through Facebook or social media generally, I want to say. Some of them go professional way, like LinkedIn, that we can classify. Okay, so they go to LinkedIn to share their findings. Okay, but none of them, I can tell you, about 99% of them in Africa are not being implemented. But elsewhere, they pay them to do the research, students to do the research for them, and they use it to do certain important things. But in our case, it's not helping. So we don't really get any good feedback whether our work we've done has a good impact or not.
So I don't know. How can this challenge be tackled? Is it a failure on the part of, let's say, policy analysts, a failure on the part of government?
I think the educational system has to be changed in that aspect, that your research is not just for academic purpose. Okay, so if a student understands this, he knows that he's not just doing something to just get a mark and go, but he's producing a very good work, okay, to help his country develop, and his work has a place in government activities. So we don't choose research topic ourselves. We don't select research topic yourself. So in the field of economics, there are certain things the government in the next 10 to 15 years want to tackle. So they employ the students to do research in those aspects for them, right? In the field of environmental change, climate, energy issues, that is what we are targeting, reducing climate carbon dioxide to 1.5 by 2030. If that is the case, what has the government done? What is the policies in place to ensure that students do research that can help the country or the government to implement policies that will tackle those things? Okay, so I think our educational system has to be crafted in that manner that would even motivate the students enough, not necessarily paying them any money. People are there, they want to research on things. So far they see their ideas being implemented, they are satisfied. For instance, if I see my idea that somebody pick up my paper and say, okay, this guy has done this, and they are going to implement this, the recognition alone that this is his idea, it's good enough for him. That is all that they want. But at the end of the day, they allow students to choose any topic of their own, and then they do something and they pack the papers somewhere. It's their storeroom if you see it, and maybe your research work are even being used at the roadside to sell, roasted banana, plantain, and then granite. It's really difficult.
That's quite
you see. So I think that is what it demotivates researchers, upcoming researchers, a lot, that our research are not being implemented even in our home country. So that is why you see a lot of young guys now are moving outside the country to do research for institutions, because there you are paid to do research for them, and they have the skills to implement it and execute it very well for them, even on the time. You see, so I think that is what we should do. The feedbacks are not really coming because you don't know who read your paper. Only few references, no few references per se. I mean, but then. What I want to say is that their papers are not being used for what they should be used for. People just use it to reference another work which probably might not be used again. You get it? Yes.
So viewers, the conversation is getting interesting, but then time isn't on our side. So we are going to wrap everything up. And then I think we need a second part of this.
Yes. Maybe next time, maybe specifically we talk about each of the methods.
Yes.
Research methods. So you think about what should be included in what shouldn't be included. How can you make your even getting the questions?
The
research problem is about your research topic. how do you get it? So we bring so many ideas together. We'll do some calculations.
Yeah.
Maybe some mathematical calculations to see.
So viewers, it's going to be very
how we
interesting
can-
on
we
this
can
channel.
get-
So please
Mhm.
subscribe and get notification from us so that each and every time when we post, you can get your feedbacks, and let's say we can also help you in everything. Keep your questions also coming in our comment section. So as we are closing this section, is there anything else you would want to, let's say to, let's say, your audience about your, let's say, your experience with academic writing and education in general? We'll come back to a second interview and let's see more of it, so to discuss more into these things.
Yeah. Oh, I just want them to understand that research work, it's tedious. Your supervisors are there always to help you. They are there to guide you on what to do. I mean, I want to really appreciate my supervisors, Professor Andam and Dr. Gasonu in University. They were my supervisors, and Professor Gift to my dad. I mean, they helped me so much, and some few colleagues. So I mean, we should seek advice if you're not getting something clear. These people push me hard to learn certain skills now. I started using Google Earth Engine and Python because I didn't even have the background to do my analysis. You see, so they pushed me hard to go and learn how to use it to make my analysis swifter, instead of the clicking using my QGIS or ArcGIS to make my analysis. So, I mean, basically, learning soft skills that can help your research work are very important, because data analysis, people chop a lot of money. They take a lot of money to make data analysis for you. So as a researcher, you should know how to use these tools to make data analysis. Okay, you can't do without your data analysis, and if you don't have the skills to see through the information in front of you, you can't get any results from it. So if you take your data set, if somebody is looking at it like this, you want to look at it like